Hi guys, and welcome to part 3. This part is called Populating the Scene, and what we're going to do here is, now that we've finished the model, we're basically just going to add a whole bunch of stuff from the SketchUp warehouse, and we'll describe what that is in the video. So to look again on the diagram, we've done stage 1 and stage 2 by this point. So we started at stage 1, we imported everything from AutoCAD into SketchUp, all the floor plans in 2D. We then built in stage 2 the 3D model off the top of that, of the main house and the windows and the doors and everything else. And now lastly we're doing stage 3, which is to populate the scene. Okay, so that's adding in any sort of additional stuff that you want. So here you can see we've added in some fencing and some solar panels on the roof, a wee car in the driveway, that kind of thing. And basically the point in doing this way is that you could model all these things in SketchUp. You could model each individual element that we've added here, but why do that? It's going to take you way longer. The warehouse is a really good tool for just speeding things up. So once you've modeled the house, because obviously you'll have to model that because it's unique and you've just designed it. Anything that you don't have to model though, yeah, absolutely, just chuck in all the warehouse files for it. So we're going to go into that, and then we'll kind of show you how to get this ready to export again from SketchUp. So there's just a few things to that, but yeah, we'll just jump right in. Hi guys, and welcome to the last part of the SketchUp element of this tutorial series. So we're just going to do importing stuff from the warehouse and some kind of stuff about doing the landscaping and everything like that. So we'll just start with the landscaping. So what you want to do is you want to make sure the landscape element is separate from the building. So we're just going to select everything again, and then we've also selected the floor plan as well, so we want to get rid of that. So if you hit shift and then do a box select just over part of it, that deselects it. And again, we're going to go and edit, and we're going to make group. Okay, so that just keeps it separate from what we're going to do now. So we're just going to draw a rectangular plane just to kind of cover the site boundary that we have here. So we'll just do it all the way up to there, and there we go. So that's pretty simple step, but that just means when we're doing our diagram at the end, there'll be a rectangle kind of enclosing the site. And then we're also just going to draw a quick rectangle here. I mean, this is going to be a really simple sort of landscape that we're doing here, but it's just to kind of show you guys some of the basics for when you do yours. And then, so we've drawn that rectangle, we go on push pull, going to pull that up. We're just going to pull it up like 100 mils or something like that, just really simple. And then we're going to do the same for this. We're going to just make this a driveway, for example, even though we've not got a driveway door, but a garage door even. So we'll just pull that to there. And then what we'll do is we'll use the line tool. We'll take the midpoint of that, draw all the way up to the end there, and then what we'll do is we'll use the offset tool, and we'll select both sides. We'll offset, I'll undo that. We'll offset by say 200 millimeters on both sides. And then we're just going to push pull. We're going to pull up both these guys by 100 mils as well. And basically what we've just done there in a really crude way is we've just made like the sort of paving slabs that you have the car going up in the middle. So again, that was just to show you some of the ways you can combine these tools, using the line tool to draw up the middle there, and then offset either side, just to make some of the details for our landscape here. So last thing then we're going to show you is how to do importing models and stuff from the warehouse. Now the warehouse is a super cool tool, and it's got tons of stuff in it, and it can really add a lot to your models in a very quick amount of time. So see up there is the 3D warehouse button. We're going to click that, and now we've access to just a ridiculous amount of 3D stuff on the warehouse here. So we're going to add in some solar panels, say, on the roof. So we'll just type in solar panel and see what comes up. So we've got a whole bunch of different models here. Again, it's just up to you guys to pick whatever you think is appropriate for what you're going for. So we'll click on this one here, say, and we'll hit download, and yeah, okay, we'll accept the terms and agreements and that, and we're going to load this file directly into our SketchUp model, yes, and see it's put itself in over here. Okay, so this is just the default. Sometimes you have to be careful with the scale of objects as they come in, and yeah, so if it's not to scale, there is a scale tool as well, which we haven't really shown you guys, but you just click it there, and there's various options to scale it, you know, in the Y direction there, or scale the entire thing proportionally, but I think scale looks okay for this, so we'll just go with it. But so what we're going to do then is we're going to need to put this solar panel up on the roof, and we'll just say this is self-facing, this one here. So we have kind of a problem though, because we don't know if this is the same slope pitch, and we need to get it to sit, you know, exactly on the roof. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it in a slightly more laborious way than you would maybe do it, but this is just to show you. So we're going to go up to the top, and we're going to go on camera and standard views, and we're going to hit front. Okay, so what we've got here then is it's kind of similar to what you have in your AutoCAD or Revit, where you can pick the different views. So we've gone on camera, and we've gone on standard views and front. And what you need to do as well is, as you can see, we're still in perspective mode. We're going to go on camera and parallel projection. So this is like orthographic mode in like AutoCAD. And so now we're looking at it dead on. What we're going to do is we're going to use the rotate tool. So we click that. We'll find the midpoint here. And what it does is, firstly, after you click on the midpoint, it'll also ask for another point to rotate by. And we'll just pick any point on this edge, it's not super important. And then we rotate that until it snaps at, you know, back to 90 degrees from the ground line. So we've now got that flat. What we're going to do is we're going to move this over onto the roof. So a good way to do that is, first of all, we'll go on camera, standard views and top, zoom out a bit, and then using the move tool, we'll just pick it up and we'll move it all the way over here, so it's roughly about in place. Then we'll go on camera, standard views, and we'll go for front, and again we'll select it and we'll move it up a bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this endpoint here, and we're going to put it on one of the points of the roof. And now we're going to select rotate again. We're going to select that same point, and again any point on this bottom edge of the solar panel, and then quite simply we just click it onto another point of the roof, and now it's matched the angle of the roof. So as you can see, because we have this little bit here, this space in between the edge of the roof trim and where the actual roof surface is, we're going to have to move it a little bit more. So again, we'll click on move, and what we can do is we can select this edge here, and what we'll do is we'll just pick an edge that is we'll just pick right at the top of the ridge here just now. So now it's sitting flat, and we'll just move it to a more central location, and we will just move it down the roof surface as well a little bit, I think. So you see how it's purple there, it's moving perpendicular to that edge. That means it's moving down the roof surface, and there we go. So that's kind of a good thing to see, is how to kind of position all your elements together from SketchUp, from the warehouse. And then just as a final example then, we can add a fence for the sort of garden of the site. So we'll just go for fence. So we're back in the warehouse. And then you can scroll through until you find a sort of fence model that you're happy with. We'll just go for this guy just now. We'll hit download, load directly into our SketchUp file. So I'll just place it down here just now, and we can see that, oh sorry, I'll turn off, see this weird clipping that we're getting where everything's all weird. That comes sometimes with parallel projection. So what we'll do is we'll go back to camera, and we'll turn it back to perspective, and that's kind of gone now. So as we can see here, looking from the scale of this compared to like the door, say at the moment it's a very low fence, so we can use the scale tool, and if you select this middle box here, we can start to pull it up, and in fact we could, if we wanted to really, we could pull it to the same height as the door there, so now it's more of a sort of full height panel. And what we can do is we can hit the move tool, select this corner here, and literally just chuck it against the wall there. And then what you could do is you could start copying that and putting it all the way around your sort of building. So to copy that, you would just select this point again, and then remember to copy things, you hit control when you're moving them, and then you could just snap it against there again, and you know, you could keep going all the way around your building. And that's basically how you would build that sort of fence section. So the warehouse can be really good for importing stuff. You can import windows and doors and stuff as well, and other buildings and trees or cars or really whatever you want. It's mostly there on the warehouse, so it's a great way to fill your scene after you've kind of modeled your house out, is to just import stuff from the warehouse. So that's kind of most of everything we would like to show you guys for modeling. The next video we're just going to show you about how you prepare to export this file from SketchUp, and then go into that final step, which is just kind of adding your graphic overlays and everything like that. Hi guys, and welcome to the last part of our tutorial series in SketchUp here, before we export it and then make the diagrams. So what you can see here is off camera we've gone and we've just finished the scene. So we've taken the fence around and added a few more details here and there, and you can kind of see inside there we've added some doors and stuff, quite you know, sort of very primitively, but you know, if you're doing a render like this and you're only going to do exterior stuff, there's no point in doing any of the interiors because you'll never see it. But I thought, since you guys might want to do some interior stuff, I would just put them in there just so you're aware that, you know, you obviously have to model all that stuff as well if you're going to be doing interior shots too. But we're just really showing you how to do exterior shots for diagrams. So the first thing then that we'll show you in this last video, just before we export it, is section cuts. They're really easy to use in SketchUp, and they can be really good for showing you how, you know, obviously your interiors are working together. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this group here again. So we do the double click, and then we get into the group of the main house model. And what we'll do is we'll go up to tools, and then we'll click section plane. Okay, and I'll ask you for a name and a symbol, and you can make that whatever you want, whatever's easy for you to remember. And we'll just hit place on that. And then again, it's asking you for, you know, this sort of axes it wants to cut along. So we're just going to do one on this side. So on the red there, we're just going to click again, and it's cut it there, but it looks a bit funky, and I think it's just on the edge of the wall. So what we'll do is we'll go up to the top and hit on our move tool. We'll click on the section plane, and then you can see there we can move that section to sort of wherever we want, and it doesn't always work perfectly, and it kind of fills stuff in a kind of dodgy way sometimes, but you can find normally a reasonable cut. So we'll just say there, and you know, that's just got a section cut there. So it's filled in this roof part because we've not put anything in there, it's just made that a solid shape. And again, we would have to move these solar panels or hide them or whatever we wanted to, because they're in a separate group. But that was just to show you that's how simple it is to do a section cut. Really easy, just tools, section cut, and then you just basically draw out where you want it. So we'll get rid of the section cut though, because we're not gonna do that for our diagrams. So the last thing then is so what we're gonna do is we're gonna export this as a PDF. Okay, so that means it's gonna convert all this 3D image into a PDF. So it's all just gonna be individual lines, and then you know, it basically makes a flat diagram of wherever the view, whatever you're looking at. So if we exported it now, we'd see all this, and if we exported it while the camera was here, we'd just see this, you know. So what we're going to do for that then is we basically need to get rid of all the colors, all the shading, and just leave the lines. Okay, so this is where the styles comes into play. So that's one of these drop down menus over at this side. So we're going to click on styles, and what you might have is, I think it'll probably start you off in this folder here, okay, and you're going to want to hit on default styles, and then you should find one in there called hidden lines. So we'll click that. So you see that's got rid of all the color and everything, but we do still have the shadows, so we need to get rid of them. So that'll be just further down. There's a tab called shadows there, and what we'll do is we'll just see this slider for the darkness of the shadows. We're going to turn that right the way up so that they are off. Okay, now what we'll do as well is, to make a good sort of diagrammatic look, we'll go back on parallel projection. So that's up here, and we went on camera, parallel projection, and we'll also go on standard views, and we'll go on ISO. Okay, so that's a really good, aerial shot sort of view you're getting of everything. Now there is one final problem that we can see here, in that this car isn't going to turn out looking very well. It looks a bit weird. There are lines missing, and ones that don't look quite right. And basically this is because these aren't actual hard edges of geometry, these are curved edges, and basically SketchUp doesn't really know what to do with them at the minute. So what we can do is, if we go back onto the styles tab here and click on edit, just there in the middle, and there's a bunch of different settings. You have edge settings, face settings, all this stuff. We're going to go on edge settings, and the one where it says profiles there, we're going to click that. And as you can see, when we click it on and off, that kind of turns those lines on. So it tells SketchUp, okay, we know there's a curved edge there, but just draw it as a line, is basically what's happening there. So that's us pretty much ready now to export this guy. So we'll just zoom out a little bit again. Now you don't have to do this in the standard ISO view, and again it will depend on what you're trying to show, but we'll talk with you guys through that in class. But just for this example, we've got a nice ISO view, nice sort of wide shot, and what we'll do is, quite simply, we go to File, Export, and 2D Graphic. Once we've got that, you have a drop down menu here for the types of file, and it's very important that you save it as a PDF. Anything else, and it will save as a bitmap image, which basically means that if you zoom right in on it, it will appear all pixelated, whereas as a PDF all the lines basically stay as vectors, meaning that when you open it in Illustrator or AutoCAD, you can then edit those lines. Okay, so we'll just save this as sample floor plan diagram. We'll hit export, and then now if we go to my documents folder and scroll down and find it, we'll just open up that PDF, and there it is. So it's exactly the same as what we saw in SketchUp there, just exported it. And as I say, if you start to zoom in, then all the lines are still editable. See, so they never become pixelated really. So that's really useful for us for doing the diagrams now. Okay, so that's everything we need to know. Now we'll be doing the last step, and that's either editing this in AutoCAD or in Illustrator.